Sports in the Philippines is an important part of the country's culture. Sports can be a bridge between various cultures because you often see people of different nationalities competing against each other for national pride. The three most recognized sports include martial arts, basketball, and bowling. Kali, also known as Eskrima or Arnis, is a Philippine martial art which was shaped by the turbulent history of the Philippine Islands. Early Filipino martial arts were strongly influenced by Indonesian, Chinese, and Muslim cultures. Native Filipino warriors, known as the Moros or Igorites, developed an effective and lethal fighting system, using bladed weapons such as the bolo or barong. In the late 1500s, the Spaniards invaded and eventually conquered the Philippines. The Spaniards suffered such heavy casualties from bolo-wielding Filipino warriors that bladed weapons and martial arts practices were outlawed. In order to preserve their fighting skills, the Filipinos created folk dances by using wooden sticks to mimic the motions of the bladed weapons in combination with intricate footwork. These dances were often performed in front of the Spaniards, who did not realize that the Filipinos were actually training for combat. These folk dances were the ancestors of modern-day Kali fighting systems. Arnis, the most systematic and the best-known fighting art in the Philippines, is a reflection of the Filipinos' people's history, their philosophy, and their culture. Arnis boasts a long historical development for the Kali systems. Kali comes from the word kalis, which implies a blade. It is the oldest form of weaponry in the Philippines and is the mother to eskrima. The natural, graceful, harmoniously circular movements used in the Filipino martial arts are characteristics of the methods found in other Asian countries. The Spaniards were never able to conquer the fierce mountain people called Moros. Today, there are probably hundreds of styles of Filipino martial arts. They are all related but have been stylized by the tribes which use them. Nevertheless, they can be divided into three main groups: the northern style, which is Arnis, the central style, which is the Arnis de Mano, or the southern style, which is just Kali. The various styles have one thing in common that makes them unique in the world of martial arts. The principles of combat of Arnis are based on a pattern of angles that all attacks fall into, regardless of style, regardless of weapon. It is not surprising that the elusive bastions of the Philippines were effective and difficult to deal with because of its elliptical and constant motion and varying angles of attack and countless reversals.
To the dust we shall return.
Basketball arrived in the Philippines as a result of the United States colonization after the 1898 Spanish-American War. In 1910, the sport became part of the public school education programming. Puerto Rico, another U.S. colony at the time, didn't formalize basketball until 1913. Europe wasn't introduced to the game until American soldiers introduced the sport during World War I a couple of years later. Many countries in other continents didn't touch basketball until the 1920s when Chuck Taylor, yes, the same dude who Converse shoe is named after, went globe trying to evangelize Dr. Naismith's invention and teach clinics. Suffice to say, the Philippines has been down with basketball longer than any other nation aside from the US. They've had an incredible fever for the game decades before 1992 Dream Team at the Barcelona Olympics, which ignited a lot of foreign countries' interest. In 1954, the country scooped the bronze in the World Championship, which to this day is their highest international finish. The national team hasn't qualified for the Olympics since 1972. You think that's affected the unequal spending of the sports by committees, schools, organizations, and politicians? But no. In the US, way more NCAA funds are used on the football budgets than basketball ones. Soccer reigns supreme for most countries' priority spending. In Manila, a mayor running for office can make it or break it in his election by renovating a court and tagging his name on the glass, while gifted young boxers and volleyball players will switch to basketball because at least they'll have their own pair of shorts. Of any country in the world, the Philippines spend the greatest percentage of available funds for sports on basketball, while no international rewards justify the investment. They love the game more than anyone. An example of how big the game is in the Philippines can be seen in Kobe Paris, an 18-year-old born in Quezon City of the Philippines. He is a basketball player that has played for the national Philippines basketball team. The national 3-on-3 team of the Philippines represents the country in international matches and is controlled by the Sahamang Basketball ang Filipinas. He recently signed a national letter of intent to play college basketball in the US for the UCLA Bruins. He is the son of Philippine Basketball Association legend Benji Pares. This is an example of how big the game is growing. Filipinos can only dream of playing basketball against the best of the best. Now the Philippines have a hero to cheer for while he tries to make his love for the sport into a career in the NBA.
Bowling in the Philippines is an internationally recognized sport. Introduced to the Philippines in the early 1900s, bowling has gained popularity on the professional and recreational circuit for both men and women. They even have their own Philippine Bowling Congress started in the 1950s, which is recognized by the Olympic organization. Over the years, the Philippines has participated in many world tournaments and often placed within the top 3 the majority of the time. Most notable being Poing Nepomuceno, who has won many medals during his career. During the 1988 Summer Olympics, the Philippines placed gold for the women's side of the event, which would be the only time in Olympic history that bowling has occurred. Bowling as a sport is both fun and entertaining for everyone. One of the things that is favorable for bowling is the number of different leagues and tournaments that have been created in many countries. These leagues often include people of different ethnicities. One example of this is the Phil-Am League at Oak Tree Lanes Bowling Center at Diamond Bar, California. The bowlers of the league from many age groups and ethnicities, but are from the most friendly people around. Leagues are often a place for everyone to get together to enjoy the sport and to socialize. In conclusion, bowling, basketball, and martial arts from the Philippines serve an example of how sports can be used as a bridge between culture and how participants can show national pride in who they are as individuals and who they are as a people.